Grossman, Integrated Family Nurse Practitioner. Today we're talking about what is so important about labels in our food and nutrition labels, and how long has that been the way it is, and what about products, things that you use, all-purpose cleaners around the house and things around, why is it important? Well, I have to tell you, first off, I started reading more about labels and looking into things that I put into my body and into the home when I had a little one. So I am a new mom in this past year, and I have to say, prior to that, I was fairly aware and had been mindful about different products that I would use and thought that I was always making the right choices. But lo and behold, I had realized the more and more information that I learned, I have not. And first off, when it comes to nutrition labels, now when you look at a package and you're looking at something, they have different ways of what the calorie intake, how many serving size, what's the total fat, what's the saturated fat, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, fiber, sugar, and the added sugars in it, the protein, vitamin D, and maybe vitamins that are in it, and may have a overall calorie intake. The hard part there is that, we may say it's the sad American diet or the horrible American diet, that what nutrition that has been posed as being good nutrition is not necessarily the correct thing. Now, I am not an expert in nutrition, but I am more aware, and I am, in the medical field, and I have a great knowledge of understanding that when things don't look right, they probably aren't right. But what I did realize is that the nutrition labels, just in general, that you read on boxes, had been horribly done until recently. They just upgraded it, and it wasn't that long ago. It was like 4 or 5 years, 2016, that they increased the font size of it so that they were easier to look at. It let you, it highlighted like the calorie intake per serving, and then it also highlighted how much in the serving that you were getting. Like if it was 230 for the serving, and then the whole box might have been 500 calories. I would have never seen that before, but you kind of look, and when you're looking at those labels, you're not only trying to look at the fat's not really the enemy, it's the sugar and the carbs. And the problem is through labeling and through the years of, I'm not here to argue about what's right or wrong, but through the research and through the literature, you'll see the fat, not good to have too much fat, not good to have too much sugar, not good to have too much carbs. Now, there's definitely a balance there, but high sugar, high carbs are never really been a benefit in your body, but carbs are not really the enemy. It's just a matter of, a moderation and knowing the amounts, and increasing the protein intake, how much saturated fat is good, how much is not. And the thing is with the labels, at least it gives you a little bit better idea. The thing I don't like about the new labels and the old labels is when you're looking at the nutrition facts, right? And you see them, the total sugar. So when you look at the percentage, it goes into the percentage and says 20% or, and then it equates to about 100. I don't like in the nutritional labels, it does not equate for the sugar as a percentage in your daily intake, because you really should only have about 36 grams of sugar intake a day. That is not a lot, but they don't put it in there. And you know why? Because when you add sugar to things, it tastes good. And all of these items that they make it taste amazing. So we're going to go dive into that a little bit more and more. So that's just one aspect that I learned about food labels, right? The second part was, everything, if it's in a package or it comes in a box, majority of the time, I wouldn't always recommend it. But, I'm trying to eat more gluten-free and dairy-free, and mostly dairy-free hasn't been a problem. There's so many alternatives, and nowadays there's a lot of gluten-free options. So, look at what's in your ingredients. Look at what is happening in your, if it's not whole foods, it's not chopped up vegetables, fruits, vegetables, and you're getting it in the produce section. I mean, even there, you still have to worry about pesticides and washing your vegetables, but at least you have a better option than other things, right? Beware of like the marketing labels. Like, just because it says it's low fat does not mean that it's a good alternative food. Low fat is actually not always been a benefit, and usually it'll have a high sugar intake. And look at the ingredients. If it has more than 5 ingredients in it, that's a problem. I mean, usually that means there's something extra filler or preservative. If it has a high sugar, high salt intake, that's a problem. Your body does not need that much salt and that much sugar. What is being labeled? And if it's the smaller it is and it's packaged, like, be really aware of like dressings and sauces that you take, because there's always an extra additive preservatives and extra additive salts and sugars to make it taste good. And you really don't need that. Like, you can really make a lot of things at home, or keep it as simple as possible when you do buy some of those options. Other things that I would recommend is when you're looking at your labels and your food things, like, I'm trying to say that I buy things that may be gluten-free. I'm very big on making sure not only is it gluten-free, but that it's dairy-free, it's tree nut-free, peanuts, soy, because the body then is reactant to it's very sensitive. So I don't want any extra crap in there. I just want to eat the pasta that's gluten-free and is not going to upset my stomach. That's why I'm choosing to be gluten-free, but I still kind of want to enjoy some things. Because in some of these ingredients, if you don't know how to say it, or it looks foreign to you, it is probably bad. Also, be aware of how people use the word vitamin enriched, or use the word like in a dressing or something and state we've placed more vitamins in this. It has it's like they call it vitamin rich cereals, and they've made it a ginkgo alternative, and additionally we've made it a whole food source. The only way it's a whole food is if you're eating a carrot or you're eating an apple. That's a whole food. A whole chopped, apple, a nice chopped up cucumbers, and some hummus. Unless you made it and you cut it up yourself, that is whole. If it's coming in a box, not that a box of food is the wrong thing. It's just really make sure that you're taking the time to look at that. You really have to do an overhaul, and that means an overhaul of what is in your house. One of these days I'll make a picture of what's in my fridge and what's in my pantry, and you'll see I don't keep those things that are not going to serve me, that are not what is benefiting me. I don't keep like a bag of potato chips, in there. I do have sometimes tortilla chips, but I use that as like a snack base with some hummus or some salsa, but that's also gluten-free, and I make a good options when I purchase even that. I'm still looking at the labels and the serving sizes. I look at like glycemic index, and that having to do with the sugar. Like, high sugar does not always benefit you. I also try to, if I'm going to have a carbohydrate, I try to go for more of a complex carb and have more fiber in it, because more of those simple carbs are just not beneficial. They're just going to just go right through you and be wasted calories. And I try to increase my, my supplements, omega-3s, omega-6s. When you're reading those nutritional labels, do you really understand what it is to have the cholesterol in your body, the good fat, the bad fat, how much protein you need, high salt, low salt intake? It does, like I said before, it shows you the percentages, but it doesn't show you the percentages of sugar. And that I find is kind of a misleading guided thing. Like, for example, when I have yogurt, I'm mostly dairy free, but I have once in a while a Greek yogurt. I tried non-fat Greek yogurt, and I've had whole fat Greek yogurt. And I did a comparison and I said, well, what's the difference and what is going on with both of them? And what I looked at was the whole fat, small, same serving size, it may have had fat in it, but my body got the nutrients, absorbed the fat, and it went, to as needed. And having a little bit of fat is not the enemy. The issue that I found with the non-fat was it just increased the sugar intake. So it wasn't better for me. It actually tasted worse. When I ate the whole fat, it's like have in moderation the whole fat and not the non-fat kind of option. You're like, oh, I have to have a small amount of something than having all these extra additives in it. You really have to be mindful of that. And also look at some of those labels when they say they're nutrient dense. Are they nutrient dense? Really look at the label. Like when I buy a supplement, I have a supplement green shake that I use called Green Vibrance. And it is it tells you exactly what's in that. Everything that's in my label on that is there. So I'll even go back. I'm going to go get it to see. And literally everything in this is labeled. So, I mean, it even states it. It states award-winning liquids inside, no proprietary blend, full disclosure labeling. So when you are eating and when you're buying things, you're doing things, full disclosure. Find out what you are eating, understand your labeling, understand what's going on. And that's really important. I mean, that's so important. It's something that you have control over. Now, when you're going out to eat, ways to control what is being placed in your body, it's maybe more difficult, but you can avoid kind of the sauces and the dipping sauces, the extra sauces, the dressings. Those usually have extra things in it that preservatives and extra sugars and things that are, not so great. But this is one perfect example of, what's in it. And, I'm talking about how in a previous video, I needed a lot of B12, had some B12, vitamin C. I get extra greens in here, probiotics, and a plethora of items. Here's just like a basic chicken broth, right? Chicken broth label, 0 calories, total fat, 0, cholesterol, 0, sodium, 0. It is just chicken flavor broth. That's it. Sea salt and onion powder. Not much in here. And very basic. And just understanding it's a low sodium chicken broth. That's it. Nothing fancy. So it's just kind of like getting an idea of that. I mean, that's just something small to know. I'll put in links of different on how to read a food label and just be mindful of what you're doing and consuming. Look at the packaged stuff, any packaged item that you have. Just really take a look at the additives and the extra things that are placed in it, because if it tastes too good, it may not be great for you. Because I gotta tell you, the vegetables and all the fruits and vegetables, they may not always be easy to eat for some of you, but once you keep doing it on the regular, it's delicious. But it's easier to go get that donut or those chips because that's convenient and that's what our body may crave, but you can make better alternatives. So my next part for me of not just reading the labels was getting into what I put into my home and what I put on my body. So I found myself, because I was going to be a breastfeeding mom and a new mom, I wanted to be very mindful, pregnant, what lotions I used, what additives I put in my food, sprays and cleaners. And I thought I knew, but I really didn't know. I use one website, and I'll put it in a link, called EWG. And that one, I shout out to a very good friend, a chef and expert integrative mama. She's a chef, editor, and integrative mama, Nicole Cruz. She reached out to me and told me about this website called ewg.org. I use another one called readinglabels.org, What's in My Food, and another one I use is Clean Label Project. And there's a couple other ones. It's constantly trying to figure out what is in the labels and to try to require the FDA and the government to put what's in the labels. You know, if it has more things in it that you can't read or don't understand, there's probably some sort of toxin or pesticide or ingredient that is not good for you, yourself, or your family. I've been a big advocate because I've been trying to figure out, not only foods like formulas for my baby, products in the house like cleaning supplies. I was looking up lotions for my skin, and just being as observant of this as much as I could. So I looked at this one a company called Clean Label Project, and they're a nonprofit group that they bring transparency to food and consumer products so that people are primarily focused on to find like if there's any pathogens or microbiological contaminants, to make sure there's no pesticides or plasticides in the foods. They are very big on being transparent. I like it because you can put in a product and it'll let you know if they'll let you know if the product has some sort of something in it. It'll say, you could put the brand in and be like, oh, is this okay? And it'll tell you like kind of the best and worst things that are there. Like, for example, I was really big on the protein powders, but now I mean, like I said, I use Green Vibrance, so I mean, it pretty much has everything in it that, so I know what's in that. Sunscreen. I never really realized how much stuff is in sunscreen and how many products are so poorly. They're just some of the worst things you could put on your body. And they act like they're so great. I'm not going to name all of the bad products because I'm not here to, give these companies bad names. Everyone has a business and they have to provide service. But just inform yourself. Take the time, look at these labels, and they may say they're one thing and they may not be pure. They may not be organic. They may not, and it's kind of sad. It's a little scary. You really have to be mindful of that. I also came to look because I wanted to look up like things I was doing for my animals, things that I was going to put in my body because then I was going to breastfeed. Also foods that I was going to give to my little baby, making sure that I wasn't increasing any sort of problems for him so that he could develop to the best that he could be. My husband, he could, we just want to put the best foot forward. And if you can do that, it doesn't always have to be organic, but what are the options, and if you inform yourself, and there's a lot of affordable things out there. Not everything, because it has a bad product, is bad for you. As a perfect example is baking soda. Good old baking soda has a list of things that it's really good to be used for. And it's just a little square box, $3-4. And you can do a lot of things with baking soda. So I'm just saying, like, you don't have to spend a lot to, be healthier from the inside out. Like, literally taking just a mindful look. So here's another aspect of your life. You're not just being mindful in meditation and mindful in things. You're being mindful in what you're putting in your body. Lotions, hair products, things that you give to your family, your baby, your kids, your pets, and what you clean with, things like that. So I used the Clean Label Project, the EWG, which is Environmental WG, and it gives you an idea. So what they do, they're called, they're known for the environment and they protect your health, and they kind of give you a code, and they do have some verified products and professional products, but pretty much it has almost every single product that you could think of that for cosmetics, pesticides to look in foods, sunscreen, food budget, what's in your dairy products, what's in your produce, what's in healthy cleaning items. I mean, you name it. If you put the product, you look in your house and you check something. I was really surprised. Like I had one product that I thought was completely clean, and it's like, oh, it's for the nursery and it's great, and I put it in and it was like, it got a B. I mean, a B is not bad, but I wanted to get an A. So now I'm like rethinking about another product I'm gonna get. I'm like, all right, it's good, but it could be better. I had a sunscreen that I had for the baby, and I was like, oh, let me see, I'm gonna put it in again. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to have any negative I don't want to be negative to any businesses. That's just not the way that I roll. I want you to be informed on how to find your own information. But here, I'm going to put one thing that I thought I was putting in a sunscreen for the baby, and I thought it was really safe. And nope, it wasn't. I think it got like a C. The last time I looked, I'm just looking right now. Well, I also, if you want to ever have any updates, it'll let you know, like new updates on different products and stuff like that. So those are just kind of cool things that, I've learned that I want you to know. The more you have an idea, like the more you know, the better. So I'll just put those resources out there. What's in your food? What are you putting on your body? What are you giving to your animals? What are you giving to your children, your kids, your husband, your family? And what are you cleaning in your environment? If you could control some of that, you'd be so surprised. And in addition, what are you drinking? What are you eating? What do you put in your body? You can get a handle on that in the home. That is a big factor on your overall health. That gets you to, a way to an optimal way of living. That's just, it decreases your toxin and your environmental exposures. So that's just one aspect. I hope I don't have to say here, you shouldn't be trying to be smoking and drinking, and what you put in your body again is a direct reflection on how you are and what you're going to do with your life. So that was today's episode. I will put all in the show notes, any extra resources. If you have any comments or you want to talk further about this, or any more extra things you want to discuss, we can go into that. Thanks for joining in. This is Dr. Damaris G. and from Integrated Family Nurse Practitioner. Thanks so much, guys. Namaste. You have a wonderful rest of your day.